pleasant good evening and a hearty welcome to News Hour. In this edition, as the country commemorates 55th independence anniversary, President Anas Kumar calls on Sierra Leoneans to maintain gains made. Rotary Club Freetime Sunset supports vulnerable children in Western Rural. And Special Court releases convict mourning a forfeiter after ruling that his attendance at the APC Youth League did not pose any political threat. Well, these stories and more, plus the business and sports news, are lined up in this edition of News Hour. I am Mariama Thompson. Welcome back, and first in the news this evening. As the country commemorates 55th independence anniversary, President Anas Kumar, whilst congratulating Sierra Leoneans, said that the country has been tested severally in the course of its history as an independent state. He said the country has been tested by undemocratic forces, war, and in recent by a very evil disease, Ebola. According to the president, Sierra Leone prevailed against the war and the deadly Ebola virus and anti-democratic forces in 1996 and implemented the 1991 multi-party constitution in order to restore democracy. The president noted even though the country is not perfect, but priority is given to programs of social protection for the vulnerable, from war wounded to Ebola survivors to pregnant women, suckling mothers and children. He calls on Sierra Leoneans to promote and protect the values gained since independence on 27 April 1961. Meanwhile, the SLBC looks at progress made so far in the promotion of good governance by the country's National Commission for Democracy, NCD. Princess Gibson contacted its chairman, Dr. Abubakar Kagbo, and she first asked him to describe the Sierra Leone's progress since the attainment of independence from former British colonial masters.
Has been very, very modest. Despite the, I could also use the word modest again, modest foundation laid by our former colonial masters. But still Sierra Leone is grappling with some socio-economic problems because we are still a dependency in terms of we as a country not being able to bring about rapid development. We still have unemployment in our hands. We still have an economy that we need the support of, the international community. So, despite the fact we have been making, progress in terms of successive governments trying to ensure that they put into play certain developmental projects, and we have seen that very comparatively recently we've been able through NRA to bring about some form of development in terms of raising revenue from own source as a country. Development is not a straight line. I know at 55, people might be thinking that Sierra Leone should have made, rapid progress. But the thing is, we have to deal with the international community, and particularly so in a period of globalization. And Sierra Leone as a country, very small, we cannot weather the storms of globalization alone. Which is why, for me...
So when it comes to political governance, are we not independent?
When it comes to political governance, we are independent, but if I want to go back to theory, we can say the economy is the basis for the superstructure, and then the final analysis is the determinant factor. That means if your economy is weak, then you might be sort of open to certain scenarios which would not augur well for your political. Don't forget that the economy, has to do even with governance. Good governance is dependent upon having a good economy, because with good economy you'll have resources, and use these resources to ensure that, yes, that you develop your governance principles, like respect for the rule of law. You need good law courts, you need judiciary that is independent, you need to ensure that resources are adequate, you need also to put into play institutions of governance, structures, and you need resources. So if the economy is weak, then it would reflect on the superstructure, which is why we always stress that if you want to have good governance, even political governance, then you need to ensure that you develop the resources to a point that you'll have those things. You don't suffer too much, in terms of getting them.
But there are existing structures at the moment.
We have existing structures, yes, but you need to ensure they are sustainable. You need to ensure that you put sort of new wines into old bottles, and you need also to create new institutions, because, society is dynamic, and political governance is also dynamic. And wherever you need to bring about something new, then you have to create that sort of agency. You have to create that sort of department. So, and in doing so, you need money. That is why we need to fight as a country to extricate ourselves from dependency. I could see light down the tunnel. I could see internal mobilization of resources today on the part of NRA. We have so far been able to sort of bring about changes in terms of development, new roads and new other infrastructures, and these were made possible because NRA was able to collect taxes, and these sort of projects were paid for by NRA. But this is not enough. We need to do more.
What about sincerity of our leaders?
Well, sincerity of our leaders is there. You can have, you could be sincere, but the thing is the resources. We talk in Creole that Trokiwan box Mutian short. You know that you need to spend, but you cannot, and we know that you cannot give what you do not have. That's why I'm saying, as a country, we must fight against dependency. Not that Sierra Leone is poor, we have natural resources, and we should ensure that we add value to these natural resources. Activities that characterize, us as globalization is fastly creeping into our economy.
As a nation, national cohesion is the bedrock. How far has the Commission done to attain that?
Well, definitely we are created to ensure that we educate the public as to understanding not only the Constitution, but what the state is all about in terms of promoting good governance. We've been doing that, and we have a communication strategy in terms of holding workshops, conferences, meeting with the people in the provincial areas, so as to foster political unity.
You see voting alongside the line.
Yes, you see that we see regionalization of our politics, yes. And we think with education over time, perhaps we might be able to mitigate, to reduce that particular tendency. But you see, that is the problem again. People see politics as politics of regionalization, regionalism. But I think it does not augur well for national unity. And we as NCD, we are going all out to ensure that we educate the people, telling them that it is not, regions. It is the national sort of concord that will make Sierra Leone develop. And that's another area which is of great importance, that if we remain disunited as a result of party politics, as a result of tribe, or as a result of various regions, then we cannot develop on time, particularly so when we are trying to close that gap. But people should realize that, we have so many things to do. We need electricity more than what we have now. We need food on our table more than what we have now. We need better roads more than what we have now. We need everything more. Sierra Leone is progressing. We are over 7 million today. So if we continue to look at politics in a parochial manner, in terms of traditions and customs.
Well, that was Dr. Abubakar Kago, Chairman, National Commission for Democracy, talking that to Princess Gibson. While still on the independence, Ibrahim Alim Conte has been seeking the views of citizens on the Sierra Leone at 55.
I feel say improvements in the country. In terms of infrastructure, the public say in the infrastructure, no problem, it is consistent for infrastructure. And we see new things then. Although things can in the country, but the power, it don't work. At least the country improvements on the day, you see. Now the things that we know, the cost of living, you know, easy job they're not there. But I feel say the power for do more, you see. If for do more, because we see now good road then, at least things that they get lights, so how will not be they get lights? You see, although all lengthy and they look shaky, but the panic for do more.
Well, Sierra Leone 55, and we're talking about independence, which means we should have gained sovereignty. For don't gain sovereignty, and sovereignty means freedom for rule yourself. But another city inside Salon, because international organizations and international community, they always interfere, and we are like born under them. And Sierra Leone, the age we old with all the minerals they all get, we not really enjoy them. The economy they in shambles. We know the country is not industrialized. We import more than we export. We they make the economy and they grow. And if we continue in this trend, well, I don't know what in the future generation will do. If we come to education, education just they go down and down. The system of education is, I would say, rotten. From primary school to university, the facilities where you for enjoy, where you forget, where for make the place conducive for make you learn, they are not there when you look at it. When you look for them, they are not there. And you come to lights, water, they all inside the city. If we call them a city, all those things for the inside it. And 55 not to begin. Like Zampana, I don't begin to prove it here. Would I expect say now somebody wait for them mature or reach to a certain level, we go for sustaining safe.
This country, the new country, what I see that they do at cladding. So say any year more things go there back home will like more than what done this way. This country and everybody look at the streets. No one they see them make up. Now they don't make up now, don't shout to me. So I feel like so much to what the government will do. Make government continue to do something for me. Not to worry now, but we're picking the way they come. But they say not someone like me. So I'm so glad that they want.
Okay, from all game design from 1961.
Well, those were views of citizens on the progress of the country since independence. Well, in another development, President Anas Koma has also encouraged Sierra Leoneans to make use of the opportunities that have been created by government's public-private sector policy for economic growth. The president was speaking during the commissioning of the Sierra Aka Meat Processing Factory at Jue, the first in the Mano River Union. Sheku Sumaila has that story.
The Sierra Aka Meat Processing Factory is the first to be established in the Mano River Union. This factory can process 50 cattle a day and 1,000 chickens an hour. This place is fully automated with all of the modern machinery with blast and holding freezers for chickens and beef. Nothing is wasted here as there is a recycling plant that recycles everything. After several years of efforts, this is the result of what public-private partnership can achieve. Chief Agricultural Officer Francis Sako, who chaired of the commissioning ceremony and also board member of the Sierra Aka Agricultural Company, described the Sierra Aka Food Processing Factory as an ultra-modern factory. He said of the leadership of the country under President Anas Koma developed strategies to develop agriculture, which include enhancing increase in agricultural production and productivity, promoting commercial agriculture through private sector partnership, strengthening research and extension services, promoting effective and efficient resource management, and mainstreaming cross-cutting themes. He congratulated the CEO of Sarah and NASIT for the partnership. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Captain Aliu Patsu, said of the launching of the Sarah company is coming at a time when Sierra Leone is pursuing the implementation of the Agenda for Prosperity, which lays foundation towards the journey of reaching a middle income status by 2035. He said launching the Sarah food processing factory in the country is a novelty for which he is proud because it seeks to ensure food security and as well benchmarks and quality standards. Deputy Minister 1 of Agriculture, Honorable Mariama, said of the commissioning of the Sarah food processing factory is another milestone in the development strides of President Anisbai Nkrumah to see the nation transforms into a viable middle-income level country by injecting massive socio-economic growth in the agriculture sector. The vision of President Nkrumah, she said, is to make agriculture the engine for socio-economic growth and development. The Director General of NASIT, Joseph Mans, said NASIT was proud to partner with Sarah because they saw it that it was a prudent and viable thing to do based on the assessment they did. Mr. Mans said that NASIT will continue to partner with Sarah and that they were proud to be part of the achievement. Acting Chairman of the Agriculture Committee in Parliament said the Parliamentary Oversight Committee under the leadership of Honorable Alimami Kagbu and his then deputy, late Honorable Dr. Thomas Mark Toure, made frantic efforts to ensure that an enabling environment be created for both the cattle herders in need of grazing space and Sarah who in turn needed the premises to establish the food processing factory. He encouraged all Sierra Leoneans to patronize with the Sarah food processing factory for expansion to provide for the entire country and beyond. Pake Kamara is the Chief Executive Officer of Sarah. He said the company is a young, dynamic and ambitious indigenous agricultural business model in the food sector, and it became a legal person in 2003, and shortly thereafter a feasibility study into the commercial viability of layer farm, which was funded by the Dutch government. Mr. Kamara said the University of Wageningen and Van Hal Institute of Holland studied soil water samples from Sierra Leone, and as a result, the Dutch government, through its private sector window, funded a pilot layer farm at Sumwea in 2010, which now has a capacity of 60,000 layers and a total egg production per day of 20,000. This meat processing factory can process 50 cattle a day and 1,000 chickens an hour. His partnership with NASIT is one that is going on well. He commended government and all of those institutions and individuals who supported his initiative.
Our special gratitude to His Excellency the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Republic of Sierra Leone and his governments for providing the enabled environment for investments. Many thanks also credibly goes to the board of Sarah for their selfless and huge contribution to the company. Here at Koso Town, our impact is already felt. We have refurbished a community dam at the cost of 100 million leones even before production. As a responsible corporate citizen, the company is proud to be able to give back to the community in which it operates. Poultry farming contributes in household, food security, and it helps diversify income provides quality food, energy, fertilizer, and renewable assets. Consumption of eggs and poultry provides a viable source of protein for our fast-growing population. Thanks to the provisional census results, we hope to achieve an egg for each child status in this country.
Commissioning of the first ever meat processing factory in the country, President Ernest Bai Koroma called on other Sierra Leoneans to emulate Pakai Kamara by thinking outside the box and make use of the opportunities under the private-public sector policy, as the private sector is the engine for economic growth and development. He said Sierra Leoneans to make more Pakais and to refrain from moving around with fake business plans, as underperformance has been a major hindrance to the country's growth and development. President Koroma encouraged Sierra Leoneans to be patriotic by ensuring that they think the country first. He, however, admonished Pakai and group to remain focused and not to be complacent.
Today, I feel very, very pleased to perform this commissioning ceremony of the Sierra Aka Food Processing Company. I'm pleased because I don't get myself involved with this young man in activities for quite some time now. It has been a long journey for him, but he don't remain focused and he don't show commitment throughout that journey on to this point. We say we can commission this food processing plant today. The commissioning to me is very timely because it is send the signal out there that Sierra Leone don't ready for re-engage in business once more.
The president was taken on a conducted tour of the Sierra Aka meat processing factory, the first in the Mano River Union. Reporting for SLBC News, I'm Sheikh Usmail.
The newly appointed Deputy Minister of Lands, Country Planning and Environment, Mahmoud Tawali, has said in the Putloka district that his appointment is to foster development in the country. The Deputy Minister made the statement during his visit to the district in a bid to thank President Koroma for reappointing him as Deputy Minister of Lands. His visit was graced by stakeholders and district elders to show solidarity to the APC party. The home call ceremony was organized at the Old Putloka Community Center, and Mariama Kano has that story.
The visit of the Deputy Minister Mahmoud Tawali following his recent appointment was welcomed with traditional singing, dancing and masquerade in his home. They came out in their numbers to welcome him, as they put it, one of their own. The reappointment of the former Deputy of Education, Science and Technology was like a reunion. The mood here was electric and showed their appreciation for that.
The awareness we get is very high for this help the bar and it's by Kuruma don't do for local for kitty so glad humors I glad it's the pass anything. I care that section social day and say we go welcome. I glad it's hummus. The baron for don't for the pa.
Ama, let God bless the pa. You know say the pa. Now pa we not the member all better food.
Now pa we the member.
The member all better food. But the gladness will get for this day today. Mama, we don't know how they put them. Why? This brother, the short away all the upper one, all put locker be hot. But we see lights. That short 10 day, they put light for we from old put locker. They put street lights there from here to Ajib. That short 10 days. So if that opportunity they can't lose power no more, that moment they will not be feel fine. But they look at the way the power don't replace your brother back. You don't get in position back. We're glad for that. We tell and thank you.
The principal, Islamic Secondary School for the Kanu, said Mahmoud Tali is developmental oriented as he was responsible to bring electricity in the district. He said the reappointment of the Deputy Minister of Lands is a dream comes true. It was all celebration in Putloko town as different traditional performances were displayed to demonstrate their appreciation for his reappointment. The Minister of Lands, Mahmoud Tarali, said politics is about development. He thanked President Kumar for reappointing him for the second time amidst all what he went through.
Fortunately for me, justice has prevailed. The truth has come out. And now today, the facts are out. I've been exonerated completely by the courts. I've been recalled by the president. I have been endorsed by parliament. And today I have occupied my seat once more as a deputy minister of lands in this country. It was quite difficult for me, but I was able to surmount those challenges and to weather the storm. And today I'm back in politics.
What were the lessons learned during your relief from office as Deputy Minister of Education, Science and Technology?
Yeah, the lessons were quite tremendous. I learned moral lessons, I learned social lessons, political lessons. I was able to realize that it is not everybody that tells you good night that goes to bed. Able to realize that all that guitars is not good, and that it's not all friends that are real friends. I was able to realize that sometimes when you have challenges, some people renege, but others will stay with you. I was able to realize that not everybody that laughs to you that loves you. There are those who are my senior colleagues in government who condescended into conspiracy matrix only to bring me down. But God says no. God does not agree. And Mr. President and Dr. Anesbeth Kuruma has replied to them appropriately. The reply is very simple, quite succinct, clear on the blackboard. Mahmoud Tarali, come back and work for government because I am convinced.
The 2nd Battalion of the Sierra Leone contingent, Leobet 2, has graduated with United Nations pre-deployment training on pair skills, combat and support weapon at the Peace Mission Training Center, Hastings. This is the first batch that will be participating in peacekeeping mission after the Ebola fight. Judith Senna has that story.
These personnel have completed a 7-week refresh training course to rebuild their professional competency, which could form the base for any future training as they progress through UN First Generation. According to the commanding officer, Peace Mission Training Center, Lieutenant Colonel Idora Bangura, the training started on the 7th March and ended on the 22nd April with a course load of 844 personnel. 2 dropped out because of medical and indiscipline reasons. He added that the training was conducted in 3 phases, focused on basic personnel skills, combat and support weapon, among others. He added that the battalion has been held in high esteem for its professional and operational effectiveness. Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General John Edson Milton, updated personnel on the current AGSLAV's peace support operations, aspirations and efforts made by the management of the Ministry of Defense.
Performed extremely well and you have made us proud. Let me say that today we are also proud to inform you that the assessment and advisory team that came, we are very satisfied with the performance you put up. And I want to commend you for that. Let me also use this opportunity to thank the Queen's Dragoon Guards through the commander for pushing.
The CDS called on Labour 2 personnel to continue the hard work and expressed the hope that the required equipment be acquired for the deployment of personnel. The Deputy Minister of Defense briefed personnel on AGSLAV's peacekeeping mission since 1960 to date. He expressed delight over the pre-deployment training offered by the Queen Dragon Guards from the United Kingdom. He admonished officers, men and women of the AGSLAV to be patient, respect for authorities, be committed, and to display professionalism at work. Presentation of awards to deserving personnel who performed well in the training climax the ceremony. Judith Sana, SABC News R.
The Member of Parliament for Constituency 105, Honorable Ibrahim Kamara, has said the Environment Protection Agency is of no essence in the country as their services should be terminated. He made the statement at a workshop for parliamentarians on climate change. Mahawa Aliyu reports.
In terms of collaboration, I want to say if I should rate you, you're not even above 20%. The EPA is really, as far as I'm concerned, a disappointment. Yes, because if the EPA, you have your mandate, and you are saying here that you are not in charge of the green belt, of monitoring the green belt. All right, you are not in charge, but you should be the whistleblowers. If anything has to do with if anything has to do with the environment, and you see that this is going to be a danger in the future, it's going to affect our people, you should be the whistleblowers. This is what the EPA did. This is what the EPA did in terms of sensitizing our people about deforestation. Now look at the dams. All the minor dams within the western area, they are all dried up. And the EPA is out there attending conferences, and I see that the EPA is not actually doing anything. If I am to recommend, I will ask that the EPA be cancelled and another.
Honorable Kamara says structures must be put in place as soon as possible in addressing the climate problem in the country. Chairperson, Parliamentary Oversight Committee on Lands, Country Planning and the Environment, Honorable Rosalind Jaratu Smith, says climate change continues to be one of the greatest challenges as it is undermining sustainable development. She described the workshop as very important and timely for members of Parliament. She says, among other things, that Sierra Leone is among the 3 countries that have been identified as highly prone to disaster, whilst recalling the effects of the September flooding in the country. The Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Leonard Fofana, says the workshop targeted members of Parliament because they are the people's representative. The Deputy Majority Leader urged MPs to disseminate ideas learned in the workshop to their constituents. The director of EPA, Mamadou Ba, in his intervention, says millions of people whose livelihoods are predicated on natural resources continue to be affected by the climate change impacts that have been documented. He explained that the findings of the Second Africa Adaptation Gap Report indicate that above 2 degrees Celsius puts Africans' adaptation cost at 50 to 100 billion United States dollars by 2050. Mamadou Ba asked that in the bid to address climate change, African heads of state have adopted the African Renewable Energy Initiative and the African Adaptation Initiative to enhance access to clean energy, which will reduce carbon emission and accelerate development and scale up adaptation activities. He, however, says that the natural environment has undergone environmental degradation due to massive deforestation of the forested hills, lowlands and coastal mangrove swamps, among others, adding that 175 countries globally have signed the Paris Agreement on climate change this year, and global action should be taken for its implementation. The Assistant Deputy Director CCL Abdul Bakar Salim gave a brief background on the Paris Agreement and activities and approach. He calls on all to put hands on deck in addressing the issue of climate change in the country. Dr. Johnson informed MPs that the intended nationally determined contributions are vehicles through which government post-2020 tailored the responses to cut down on greenhouse emissions and climate change by taking actions that are climate resilient. He asked that Sierra Leone had adopted the path of mitigation, adoption, and lost cognizance of low emission and green growth in the agenda for prosperity. Most MPs who attended the workshop says there is nothing to write home about the Environmental Protection Agency EPA, and therefore appeals for structures to be put in place in addressing the climate issue in this country. SLBC News, Mahawa Aliyu, Free.
In celebration of our 55th independence anniversary, we take an excerpt from the President's speech to the nation.
Because of our history as an independent state, we have been tested by undemocratic forces, tested by war, and in the last 2 years, we have been tested by a very evil disease. We prevailed in all these instances. We prevailed against anti-democratic forces in 1996 and implemented the provisions of the multi-party constitution of 1991 in order to restore democracy. We have prevailed against the masters of war. We have prevailed against the deadly Ebola virus. All these battles left their scars, but we also come out of them with new resolutions that are now part of our national character. We are not a perfect country, but we have had the longest spell of democracy since we pushed out anti-democratic forces in 1996. And it is now part of our national expectations to hold regular multi-party elections, to have our laws passed by Parliament, and our cases, however contentious, be determined by the courts. We are not a perfect country, but we are given priority to our programs of social protection for the vulnerable, from our war-wounded to Ebola survivors to pregnant women, suckling mothers, and children.
Well, that was an excerpt from the President's speech to the nation. Street Child has supported vulnerable young people in Bome and approved school communities with learning materials for school kids, cash and startup kits for youths in Techville. Mahawa Aliyu voiced this report.
Head of Operations Street Child Alfred Simakabo says Street Child started with 100 children in Makeni. Presently, he said they have more than 1,000 children in 19 towns across the country. He said they have support orphans, disabled people, and provides business grants to parents. Project Coordinator Street Child Kisi, Marie Conte, said the project will help young people in Bome and approve school communities. She said the project will look at tech voc and formal schooling. Representing the Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs, Luna Conte advised parents not to sell the school materials and also encourage the pupils to study hard and grab the opportunity. Chief Pa Almami Totoko lauded the Street Child for the support.
Medes Kamara, also they call self-made. I also want to congratulate you on behalf of Street Child and on behalf of the ministry for we don't take you time, you sacrifice yourself to go through this welding thing here. You don't go through the course and now you don't qualify as a welder in your community. We really hope say you don't go let me down, you go do it proud and you go continue for live as example for other people there within the community.
I congratulate this Street Child for the help me. They come in and I always had in about me the smoke jamba. But I tell God thank you guys now, really don't change my life. I don't learn work. I tell God, I tell you all thank you for the help me. That's I don't be changed, man.
To end news are here again at the morning points. As the country commemorates 55th independence anniversary, President Alice Baikoma has called on Sierra Leoneans to maintain gains made. Rotary Club Freetown Sunset has supported vulnerable children in Western Rural, and Special Court has released convict Moyina Fofana after ruling that his attendance at the APC youth did not pose any political threat. Well, that's all in this edition of News Hour broadcast live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. On behalf of my news editor Ibrahim Mansouri and the rest of the news team tonight, I'm Alice Mariama Thompson wishing you a happy Independence Anniversary. Thanks for your time. Keep watching the SLBC.
Sierra Leone is always fondly remembered as the image of a lion. Whether one looks at the sprawling hills or the spreading rivers, Sierra Leone stretches as a pride of lions.
Many Sierra Leoneans don't remember when they last saw a lion. However, that did not stop Pedro de Sintra, a young Portuguese discoverer, from naming this great country Sierra Leone.
From 1462, when Sierra Leone was named by de Sintra, to the years of slavery and the years of freedom, Sierra Leone has come a long way to becoming a diversified and unified country.
Coastal Sierra Leone has always attracted attention from neighbors near